We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. Please stand by. Please stand by. This is a national emergency. New discoveries have been made on the Medusa virus. Scientists from the government's National Virology Lab have concluded that a new mutation of the virus has been discovered. Please pay close attention to the device you are viewing this from and lock all windows, doors, and vents. If you are outdoors, please keep this broadcast on while you swiftly make your way indoors. The new mutation allows the virus to transmit it through airborne methods in the form of a thick, orange gas. Do not inhale the gas and cover your face with a wet towel when you can. The government will provide advanced filtering to the air conditioning systems to keep a supply of air to all households.
Watching the clock on the shelf. There must be someone knows the loving I could be giving, yet I keep on living all by myself.
What does the new mutant do? The gas has a strong smell of pie or cake. Once the gas is smelt, it can cause a strong feeling of nostalgia and the loss of self-control, similar to being drunk. The infected will be attracted towards the smell and will follow the trail of smell unconsciously. You will lose complete awareness, and victims may experience the replaying of memories involving the smell. Victims may appear to be walking around normally, but they are beyond saving. As the victim walks towards the origin of the scent, more and more of the virus enters the respiratory system, eventually producing the same effects of the first discovered strain of the Medusa virus. Paralysis and suffocation will occur. If you see someone walking around drunkenly through your window, humming or murmuring, alert authorities immediately and refrain from watching their death. Avoid exercise or any activity requiring heavy breathing and stay isolated indoors. May God help us all. I repeat, avoid exercise or any activity requiring heavy breathing and stay isolated indoors. May...
Our next creature is the Mimic. The Mimic. The Mimic is a bipedal creature with uncanny similarities to humanoid anatomy. They greatly resemble humans without skin, with added exaggerated features. These features include extended finger length, longer limbs, bulging, empty eyes, and their most prominent feature, a wide, teeth-filled smile. Although it resembles a happy face, this is due to coincidence, and is only how their facial structure is shaped. The maw of the Mimic contains much more teeth than humans, and their teeth is comprised almost entirely of incisors, with some canine and premolars in the back. This tooth composition is ideal for biting down onto meat and swallowing chunks whole. A mature Mimic's diet is comprised entirely of human flesh. Because of this, they are found solely around human-populated areas. The Mimic's life cycle is made of 3 stages. In the first stage, a young Mimic separates from the crawl. They closely resemble their trimming relatives, but are thin, sleek, and only have 4 appendages. In this stage, the young Mimic will hunt small animals, moving on to larger and larger as they grow. Once large enough, it will begin metamorphosis into the next stage of life. Once fully transformed, it will resemble the description mentioned in the beginning. Its hunting style changes and becomes much more complicated. It now stalks and feeds only on humans. It will locate human-populated area and begin its search for an easy target. To blend in, it may use objects to conceal itself. These include clothing, mannequins, and furniture. Once a target has been found, the mimic will observe its prey and learn its routine and when it is most vulnerable. This is typically when the human is asleep at night. Once the prey is within position, the mimic will advance silently until it is close enough. The mimic will then execute and immediately begin consumption. Once the mimic has had its fill, it will leave the scene, a fair distance away from the human population, and begin to digest its meal. Although, in the case that a human is awake, a mimic will use a variety of sounds to either lure or startle prey into cornering themselves. Once a human is in place, it will swiftly attack and kill the helpless target.
Hang on. What? Oh my God. What's wrong? The virus. We were totally wrong about it. What is it? It's nothing like the flu. Look at it. It looks tremendous, just like Ebola, but it can't be, can it? There's no way we missed this. Clearly we did. We've been treating this like the flu when it could be a highly contagious and deadly virus. We have to get this information out. Who knows how many people are walking around infected with an Ebola-like virus? The whole Seattle area is at risk.
We have some exclusive information about the military blockade around Seattle established last night. Nobody can enter or leave the city, and anybody attempting to do so will be arrested or met with lethal force. This has been done to contain the virus, and emergency medical personnel will be deployed in the city shortly. However, the people of Seattle have made their opinions on the matter known, as certain individuals have been spotted attacking military personnel and using violence to bypass the blockade. On Twitter, the hashtag prisoners is trending at number 1, as a considerable number of people in Seattle make it clear that they disagree with the blockade and believe it is a breach of their human rights. We have a citizen of Seattle with us today. 28-year-old Benjamin Kane has agreed to speak with us about his opinions on the matter. Ben, how has this blockade impacted your life on a personal level?
I plan to travel out of state to visit my mother, as she's ill, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think she's got much time left. I want to spend some precious time with her, and this blockade has just completely ruined that. Why we need the military to block off the city for a flu-like virus that doesn't really kill anyone is beyond me. I think it's tyrannical.
We're getting information about a potential protest in the downtown area. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't blame them. Their freedoms are being stripped away by the government, and they have the right to protest against it. Our lives have been brought to a halt, and we're being expected to just deal with it. Never in my life did I expect that the army would hold us all at gunpoint to stay in the city. This is America, for God's sake, not Pyongyang.
Anything you want to add before we let you go?
Personally, I'm disgusted that the people in other cities aren't making a fuss about this. This whole thing is completely illegal, and we should be fighting to resist this sort of tyranny. I, for one, will be taking up arms and fighting to restore my freedoms and encourage other citizens at Seattle to pick up their weapons and fight off the oppressive.
Sorry about that, but we cannot have that on the air. I want to take the time to make it clear that we at MSNBC do not condone violence against the military, and you will be met with lethal force if you fight the military forming the blockade.
When shooting at the sky, aim slightly above the target. Although shooting at infected flocks often only injures the bird, it is the best method currently accessible. In the case of an attack by a large flock of birds, such as hawks or pigeons, the best weapon of choice is the shotgun. Aim for the center of the flock and load with birdshot. The virus attacks the brain of the birds, causing them to caw or almost scream abnormally loudly, creating strange sound waves which can be deafening. Any human who hears the sound will likely go crazy or have the survival urge to go outside and silence the source of the sound. This, however, is dangerous, due to the risk of inhalation of the Medusa virus in gas form. Here is a sample of the sound.
It uses the dark hue of its skin to hide seamlessly within a dark environment. Its skills have also been heightened. This makes an elder mimic one of the most efficient predators on the planet. Because of the obvious threat this poses on humanity, nations around the world have released instructions on how to be able to fend for yourself in a mimic encounter. Here are the instructions.
1. Avoid going out alone if your location is known to have mimics, or there have been mimic sightings. 2. If you encounter a stationary mimic, seemingly unfazed by your presence, quietly leave the location and alert your local authorities. 3. If pursued by a mimic, get yourself into a position where you are able to flee. Mimics will rarely attack if a person has a clear escape route. 4. In the event that you have been cornered by a mimic, roll into the fetal position, protecting your neck, face, and vital organs from attack. Make as much noise as you can to alert any other people. 5. If you have a weapon, do not use it. A mimic is fairly resilient, and any strikes or shots on a mimic is not effective enough to bring it down in time. Instead, use it as a barrier between you and the mimic to block any attacks. 6. In a situation where a mimic is hunting in the immediate area, and is not aware of your position, hide somewhere low, like under a bed or behind other furniture. A mimic will not linger too long to search for prey, and will move on.
Be safe, and avoid any encounters with a mimic at all costs. Next up, the Harvester.
Everyone needs to disperse immediately. You are disturbing the general public and violating the law. Please walk in the opposite direction within 5 seconds, or we will use force.
following message is transmitted at the request of the Washington State National Guard. The military forces along the established blockade around King County have been over.
Within the past few weeks, a new virus, by the name of K17PXVI, emerged from Seattle. The pathogen has completely puzzled scientists, especially with its apparent ability to infect a person's brain and provoke a homicidal rage state. The method of transmission has not been confirmed, though it is likely that this virus is airborne because of its rapid spread across the entire western region. The pandemic has since caused mass devastation to the West Coast. Military forces are currently in retreat and cities are in complete disarray. It has become apparent to the Department of Defense and the CDC that this virus cannot be stopped from overtaking the entire western region, and data from health institutions projects that this virus will wipe out over 75% of the human population should it start spreading globally. Due to the circumstances, the president has approved drastic measures to stop the virus from entering other countries, and the eastern United States. Effective immediately, the military will cease all operations in states west of the Mississippi River. The United States has forfeited its government jurisdiction in the West. This may seem like a harsh decision, but it was made to protect the rest of humanity from such a deadly disease. Refugees from the western states will not be accepted. Electricity and gas will be cut off indefinitely. God bless America, and remember, you are all dying for the greater good of the human race.
We interrupt our programming at the request of the White House. This is the emergency alert system. All normal programming has been discontinued during this emergency. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. Please stand by. Please stand by. This is a national emergency. The virus is now known to infect birds of all types, from sparrows to eagles. Wear earplugs at all times, and lock doors and windows with locks even you cannot break through even with a key. You must prevent your own escape the case you hear the shrieks. You will lose control. The fight or flight response will be activated upon the brain registering the sound. Going outside will be uncontrollable and inevitable when this happens, and inhalation of the Medusa virus is
one will learn to live less. I miss the flying grass outside. I miss the smells of the market. I miss my friend who looked into the wrong eye. What happened to human power? I can't see the sky anymore.
And finally, the last creature on this list is
the Singularity is an orb comprised of a dark-colored mineral with hints of luminous colors within its documented coming from the orb itself. Various things like magnetic fields, energy signatures, and other pattern-like signals released by the singularity. The population of these creatures is unknown. Almost all info about the singularity is hidden or confiscated by officials. We were only able to receive one classified document about the singularity being held by...
Marvelous and majestic world that exists today. It's as extraordinary to have such strange and mysterious beings appear all around us. Thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration and discovery of the lives of these living meat creatures.